what should healthcare workers, such as caregivers or nurses or those, even the family members, including those who support people to live at home, keep in mind? Probably we start with you, Mary Beth. From your perspective, living with dementia, what caregivers or family members can do to create a more supportive environment?
Well, I think, we throw the word
Mm.
diversity around a lot. We throw the word equity,
Yeah, inclusion.
belonging,
Yeah,
intersections of all of that
of
and how
course.
it impacts us. Um, Jess, I'm sure will speak to this, but there's been a really excellent report released in Canada that speaks to kind of the population about this. But those four things that I just talked about, and in particular right now, racism, like it's
Yes.
just, our world is tilting right now, and for many, many reasons. And if you're walking into someone who has dementia, you have to be able to tilt your world back. That um, is able to support that particular person. And Jess, you
Yeah,
got
sure.
lots of stats, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to admit, I love stats. I like research. And, it's so interesting. Statistics Canada, when they looked at the 2021 census report, they
Yeah.
said over 450 ethnic or cultural origins were reported by Canadians.
Yeah.
That's huge, right?
It is.
And
It
we're not
is.
even, I'm not even going to name the stats about religion and any of all of that. The other interesting stat that really stood out to me in the census was that just over half of our Canadian population identifies women or girls. So
Yes.
this is the diversity in many ways that we're talking about in today's world in Canada. In that landmark report that Mary Beth mentioned, put out by the Alzheimer's Society, it was the second report for the many faces of dementia in Canada. They said today 650,000 plus
Wow.
Canadians live with dementia out of 38.25 million people.
Wow.
Over the next 3 decades,
Yeah.
there's going to be so many more Canadians. It's estimated 6 million Canadians will develop dementia. That's a 187% increase.
Of course.
Women are doubly affected, not only in diagnoses, but women tend to be the care partners as well.
Yes.
Right? The
Yes.
primary supports. And, if I go back to that census data, with immigration patterns
Yep.
as it's been, there are going to be more racialized and ethnic groups that are going to be diagnosed with dementia. And so when you take all of that into consideration, we as healthcare professionals, we need to be very culturally humble and sensitive. And when you top it off, as Mary Beth said, all the social identities and intersections that make up who we are, we also need to be very conscientious of that.
Yes. Yes.
And so I don't think we can, as healthcare professionals, say we're culturally competent because there's just too many cultural and ethnic groups out there. There's too many intersections. So that's why I say we need to be humble. We need to ask questions. We need to be curious. We need to say, what's it like for you to live with dementia? What are some of your experiences? What do you need? What would be most helpful for you?
Yes.
And then I would lean on what I know to be most supportive for
Of
that
course.
individual, for that family.
Of course.
Does that make sense, Lauren?
Of course, of course. I agree with you. We need to be mindful. We need to be sensitive, around us, because as you mentioned, there are so many. It's really diverse. There's so many identities. Currently there's so many different cultures, different races. So this being sensitive and being mindful about it is really important, and I agree on you on that.
I've been privileged to do some work with Dementia Action Alliance called Calling All Voices, and Mary Beth was involved in some of that work. But the piece that I was involved with was interviewing people living with dementia and family care partners from the Asian community across North America. And, culture has a big impact on how dementia is
Yes.
seen and experienced. And so that's why, again, just all of those stats, we as healthcare professionals just need to be curious, open,
Yes.
humble, and what works for one family also might not work for another
Of course.
family.
Yes. Agree.